I am live, pretty much on time. I know. Really likes to take the piss out of Erekose. I know, but here I am. So today we're going to be talking about the final episodes, the final two episodes of the Innocence Files, season one. As I've been saying before, I really do hope this show goes on to another season, multiple seasons. I really want to hear more stories out of the Innocence Project and more of the things that they've encountered in the justice system, to just continue to shine a spotlight on where the problems are occurring, where we need to focus our energies to improve things. So anyways, before I get to that, wow, it's an exciting time, isn't it? It's exciting. This time next weekend, we are going to be in the middle of a 48-hour live stream event. You know what I mean? By this time next weekend, we're going to be pretty well into the middle of it. And so I'm actually thinking I'm excited about it. I'm really excited for all the new hosts that we're having this year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Andrew, what's up, buddy? Hello, Rhonda. Hey, Audra. Hello, Justin. Hello, Sila. So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, and I'm excited for the hosts this year, the new ones that are going to get to kind of show their stuff here. There's a lot of great content. The hosts, have lined up some great guests and various people to talk to and some things. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good stuff. Those of you who saw the trailer I put up earlier today got a little tiny glimpse at Steve Moore, retired FBI agent Steve Moore, and some of the things that he's going to be having to say. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. And after seeing mine today, Ripper is saying that he's probably going to go ahead and put something together now too. So I'm actually pretty excited to see what kind of a promo or trailer Ripper comes up with. So if you guys haven't checked out the trailer I made today, you just go to my channel here and go to my videos. It just came out earlier today, so you can go back and find it, and it'll say, It Really Matters Mammothon trailer, Barn Studio version. So go ahead and find that and check that out. All right. Hello, Kevin. How you doing, buddy? All right. So there's that. Also, tomorrow, folks, at 1 p.m. Pacific, I believe it is. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, which should be 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be talking with a gentleman by the name of Jeff Young and his dog, Zoe the Wonder Dog. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to be talking about, number one, cadaver dogs and scent dogs in general. And then we're also going to be talking a bit about the Avery case itself and some of the things going on in the Avery and Dassey case. So you guys can all look forward to that tomorrow. We're going to be talking with, and yes, Zoe will be there as well. For those of you who are wondering if the pup is going to be involved, yes, the puppy will be there. Zoe will be there, and so everybody tune in tomorrow. It's basically at the normal time slot that we were going with Megillah, but now we're saving the last segment with Megillah for Mammothon. So I decided to go ahead and schedule this talk with Jeff Young and his really, really wonderful dog Zoe tomorrow in that slot. All right. So that's what we're looking forward to. So you guys got that tomorrow. As I said, Mammothon coming up next weekend. A lot of things to look forward to. And as I said, the hosts are coming up with some brilliant content. I know Tracy Strunsey is going to be talking to a lot of exonerees, people that have actually been exonerated. I am trying to get an additional one. I'm working on it. Hopefully I'll be able to get one exoneree to come on with me. But I know Tracy's got a few, She even got one more, who I believe was Adam Brazil, and I believe it's going to be Ripper, who is going to end up talking with Adam. Ripper has said that he has something real special, I guess, that he's holding back until then. So that should be a little bit of a surprise. And what's going on in the chat here? Anyway, so anyways, I'm working on it, and I've actually was doing something today to further kind of hopefully turn the wheels on that. So we'll see. But I'm already, folks, you can already count on the fact that, well, let me just say, here's how I'm kind of envisioning me opening up Mammothon. Number one, I'm probably going to open it up, well, maybe with the trailer I made today, just to have a little music to bring it in on the intro. And then after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mammothon last year, Mammothon this year. I'm obviously going to talk a bit about why it's so cool that we're able to do these kinds of streaming events online, particularly now in the time of COVID-19. So I'm going to have a little bit of a spiel about that, and basically introduce Mammothon and that sort of thing. And then after maybe about 15 to 20 minutes of me opening it, and after the original opening of the trailer, and then me talking and opening it, we're going to go into my talk with Steve Moore, retired FBI agent Steve Moore. So it's going to be pre-recorded, and so you guys are going to be able to see my chat with him. It was pre-recorded because we weren't sure if he would be available during my slots the weekend of Mammothon. Here's the added bonus. If it turns out he is available for one of my slots, he will also come on live. That's not a promise. That's not a guarantee. But if it's possible, and if he's not busy as he thinks he may be or suspects he might be, if he's available, he will come on live. So that's something to look forward to there. As I said, the guests that are being lined up, I mean, I know Linda said she finally got Eric as Banana Man, which I think is going to be cool because Eric is very active over there on Twitter, very well versed in the cases. We've got Sharon got Dr. Sandra Lean. Andrew's got some good ones, some really good folks that he's actually corresponded with and done videos about before. So he's really doing some good things over there. Linda Kay is gathering up a lot of the heavy hitters that over there on her channel, and a lot of the people she talks to. So we're seeing things shape up pretty nicely. There's going to be a lot of good content, a lot of good discussion, and so I'm pretty excited the way things are shaping up. So it looks as though Drome had an idea about, he had a guitar that he was willing to offer up, and that sort of thing. And since this year the donations are going to be where we encourage people to donate directly to Stephen and Brendan's canteens, and then post us a picture of the receipt so that we can, show that sort of thing or whatever. But what Jerome was saying about the guitar and stuff, I thought maybe there's something we as the hosts could come up with for our segments, where we could say anybody who donates whatever amount, I don't know, $20, $30, $25, something, whoever donates that much to one of their canteens is eligible in the raffle to get whatever the item may be. Like, for instance, Jerome's guitar, right? Signed by Jerome, for instance, correct? Because it's Jerome's. I don't know. We're tossing this idea around that way there would be this, it would keep the incentive of trying to put some money on Stephen and Brendan's books. It will kind of keep it at the forefront of Mammothon, but with the money taking a more direct path to their books. So I don't know what you guys may think of that. I thought I'd go ahead and voice it. It's something that Jerome was pretty excited about. I thought it was a pretty good idea. I could, obviously come up with items here that I've had with me now for a couple years. I could even perhaps one of my Mammothon magnets that I have on my car, I could perhaps offer one of those signed by myself. I don't know. Anyways, we'll be looking for input over the next week, I guess, on this. Just to make it another fun aspect, another, thing to make it, fun and everything. So, I don't know. It's just a thought I was having. Well, you're a host, Millbilly. I mean, you're gotta anyway. Okay, that's great. That's awesome. don't get me wrong. Yeah, Andrew's calling you a big baller, shot caller. Make me holler how you do that there. No, anyways. So anyways, that was something I was thinking. So it'd be interesting to see what other people think in regards to that. Oh, Kevin, how's it going, buddy? Let's see. I'll make it drizzle. That's hilarious. No, but seriously, no. Yeah, I remember, if you guys remember last year, the whole idea was we were raising money. And over the course of the weekend, we built up to 1,000, then 2,000, then 3,000. And we were making the push for 4,000 up going into, hours 46 to 48. We were like about $300 or $400 shy of $4,000 in those final 2 hours or whatever. And we were making that push. We made it to 4,000, and then somebody came through, bam, with an additional $1,000 on top of it, made it all $5,000, like boom. And so it was an amazing thing, but we were looking to make it more of an incentive, or at least that's what I was thinking after I heard Jerome and his idea. I thought, maybe that's what we could do. Maybe where each of the hosts offers up a unique item, signed by themselves and possibly other hosts. I don't know, or I have an idea of getting other special items. Don't want to say too much about what I think those special items are just at the moment. Good Lord. Hold on a second there. Okay. So I don't want to say what exactly I'm thinking about those special items are yet until I talk to the people appropriate to what, that would actually be making that happen. But I have some ideas and I've been tossing it around. And I'm just looking to make it more fun. So anyways, to get on to what we're talking about today, is we're talking about the final 2 episodes of okay. All right. Jeez, okay. Yeah, some of the Mammothon gear signed. Like I have like here. I don't know. For those who are interested, maybe even I have here 3 Brendan Dassey Control Question t-shirts here. However, it's a small and 2 mediums. These are small shirts, and they basically will only fit a kid, or a very, very tiny person, generally. And it would be a tight fit, you know what I mean? So they're small ones. So if somebody was looking to get one of those for their kid, I could possibly offer up one of those, and I could even sign it with a Sharpie before I send it. So I could do something like that. That's something else I could do. Like I said, I could also do, I have a Mammothon magnet that goes on the side of my car. I could sign that as something. Yeah, any number of things. You know. So those are some of the ideas I was tossing around. But obviously Jerome has his guitar, and I'm pretty sure he could get a Sharpie out and he could sign it before he ships it to whoever wins the raffle, right? So that's what we're looking at. Let me know what you guys are thinking, what you think of my initial ideas as merchandise to possibly entice people to want to donate enough to get into the raffle, so that they'll send us a copy of a receipt showing that they donated so much money to Stephen and Brendan's books, and it will help us kind of get an idea of how much money Mammothon is putting on Stephen and Brendan's books. So it has the added aspect of helping us to come up with a total number on that. So, you know, anyways, moving on. So the final 2 episodes of Innocence Files, as the name says, what we're all here for. Really, really crazy stuff. And like I said, I do hope this show continues on into more seasons, because it's very, 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 very interesting. And I'm sure that the Innocence Project still has many, many, many more stories to tell. Audra wants the shirts, right on. So, I mean, the first one involves a guy named Alfred Dwayne Brown in episode 8. And this one's just bizarre, man. Oh, crud. This guy lived out in Louisiana, out in the country, ends up moving to the big city where his mom or whatever is, because she decides she wants him back. And he ends up living with her when he's getting into like high school. And there's 2 guys that live in the same complex that are known, you know, they run-ins with the cops and getting into trouble and drinking and robberies and that kind of thing that they're getting in trouble for. So it ends up there's a robbery of a check cashing place. Officer shows up and gets killed. The clerk ends up dying, who got shot during the robbery. And so this all comes down to some really BS police work. The police were so desperate to get the guys to turn on each other. The guy who probably was most likely the gunman turned on the other 2 and said that they were the ones that shot him. But the problem is that the clerk inside was shot with his gun. And I mean, it's just like, it's such a mess, but these cops messed it up so bad, but they were so eager to get him to turning. Once one of them turned on the others, he got a deal. And so you have to understand, the other guy now he leaves Dwayne and the other guy now. And the other guy has been getting into trouble. He's got some pending cases. He's not doing so hot himself in terms of the criminal justice system. But Dwayne has no record. No drug charges, no robberies, no violence, no nothing like that. Nothing at all like that. And he's completely, because he keeps to himself. He's a quiet kid from Louisiana. From the sticks, you know, kind of out in Louisiana, right? Oh, thank you so much, Kevin. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So he's this really shy kid, mostly from kind of out in the boondocks and out in Louisiana, right? And okay, so he ends up getting sent up for this thing, right? And the thing is that originally his girlfriend is telling the story that it wasn't him, you know, he wasn't with those guys, and and she's telling this all the truth and everything. And what eventually happens is the cops end up making, it's bizarre. They hold a grand jury and call her to it. And the grand jury ends up bullying her into reversing her story and saying that Alfred did all the things that they wanted to say he did. She ends up coming out later to recant that and explain, and all kinds of things come out about how that grand jury was formed and how what a BS process that was of how the grand jury was formed. And oh my God, it's just a complete shit show. Oh my God, I'm not kidding. Thank you so much, Kevin. I will, man. So it's just bad. It's bad, right? And these cops were ignoring the obvious. They were ignoring the obvious. That this guy wasn't like these other two guys. He lived at the same place they did, so he hung out with them sometimes. But that's it. And that guy, I mean, and Alfred ends up being on death row for like 10 or 12 years. But he's like Stephen. He's like Stephen Avery. And his lawyer was even trying to convince him to take a deal for 30 years so that he could hopefully get out sooner on parole. And he was just like Stephen Avery. He's like, I'm not signing a paper saying I did something I didn't do. He just wouldn't do it. He was willing to sit on death row rather than say he committed a crime he didn't commit. Very impressive. And it ended up working out in his favor because the Innocence Project did end up taking a look at his case and did end up helping him out. So it's you know, in that sense, it's pretty special. So, yeah, you have that case. And eventually they get to the girlfriend, you know, the defense lawyers, his eventual lawyers that are helping exonerate him, get to her. They get her to give the real story, explain what happened and how come her story got turned around in the first place and all the circumstances that were involved with that. And it just became, you know, you just suddenly realized just everything that was going on here and what a ridiculous farce and what a mess it was. It's just, yeah, not good. So, yeah. Eventually, though, he gets out. He now lives on a nice little piece of land, not in, you know, back in Louisiana, kind of rural again, away from the big city. He's done with the big city. He has horses that he raises. He seems like he's enjoying life, and I'm happy for him. He's you know, because he's had a rough go. He was just a kid doing what his mom said to come live with her, and he ended up getting caught up in something that should have never happened. And that's why we need to know about these things in the public. And that's why people in the public need to watch shows like this and to see how it happens. You know, I'm not saying every criminal needs to go free, but we need to understand how we get it wrong. We need to understand when we see that we get it wrong, we need to understand how we did that and how that happened. It's important to understand that. To make any kind of meaningful change for the future, it's important to understand when it goes wrong, what is causing it. So, threatened to make sure, that she would never see her kids again because they were going to charge her. Oh, yeah. Which were found in a box in the garage. Yeah, I mean, it's just bizarre stuff, dude, that happened with him. So it's you know, that's why this show is important. I'm telling you, folks, that's why this show, along with other shows like Making a Murderer, Staircase, Exhibit A, the Confession Tapes, and all these other shows that are coming out. When They See Us, about the exonerated Central Park Five, right? Just these very, very compelling things are coming. The Pharmacist, folks. Oh, folks, if you haven't seen The Pharmacist, check that out on Netflix. That is a powerful, man. I was so freaking moved by watching that show, that show on Netflix. The Pharmacist, folks. Very compelling. It's a story of a pharmacist whose son is killed during a drug deal. Okay? His son went into kind of the rough area of town, And instead of being able to score drugs, he was shot and killed. And, well, this father, this pharmacist, took that pain and he channeled it, and he ends up realizing that a lot of the population are getting addicted to these opioid drugs and stuff because he's a pharmacist, and he's seeing the doctors' names coming through the pharmacy describing particularly the Oxycontin. And there was one doctor's name attached to 90% of those prescriptions coming through the pharmacy. I mean, whoa, 90%. 90%. So he realizes there's a problem there. He takes that on. They eventually get her where her medical license gets revoked and stuff after a long fight. But he was bumping in with the DEA, and they were asking him to back off, but they weren't actually being able to do anything because the DEA was trying to collect evidence, but the U.S. District Attorney's Office was dragging their feet about doing anything about it because it was a doctor, and doctors were like, trusted. How could doctors do anything wrong? So this U.S. District Attorney's Office wasn't really doing anything about it. And so this guy realizes that, and he continues investigating and actually starts to stir up a little trouble, and he gets followed once from the clinic and has some people following him, and he gets pretty freaked out. He gets some people thinking he was losing his mind, that he was actually starting to get paranoid, and that sort of stuff. I mean, it gets wild, but eventually in the end, he ends up helping the DEA and the U.S. District Attorney in getting her. And then after they get her, they all end up coming back to him to help them get Purdue Pharma, who created the drug Oxycontin in the first place and didn't tell everybody how addictive it was, the addictive qualities of it, and that it was that addictive and stuff, and that it was that deadly, obviously, and that sort of thing, right? So they end up coming back to kind of get his help and helping with that. And just a powerful, powerful story about one man's pain and how he channeled it and made himself into a crusader to save lives and to help stop or stem the tide of the opioid crisis. I mean, it's amazing what one man's pain was able to accomplish. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing to watch. That's the next one on your list. So yeah, it almost took his family apart. His wife and daughter got to the point where they were sick of him recording all the time because he was just recording everything. I mean, he was maybe getting a little bit out there at one point. He was getting a little paranoid, but he was able to kind of draw himself back from the brink and collect himself and get back to dealing with the facts and talking to people, which is what he was really good at, was getting on the phone and talking to people, because that's how he dug up most of the stuff to solve his own son's case. He had to solve his own damn son's case, folks. I mean, that's what else is just bizarre about it. But he solves that. Then from there moves on to the fact that he realizes the local doctor that's prescribing all of these Oxycontin, and and it just goes, it steps up each time. Now, obviously, he's got kind of a cross to bear. He's obviously missing his son, and that pain is driving him, and everything. But it's, amazing, amazing. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's amazing watch. Insurance and pharma are evil empires. I mean, yeah, there's a problem with our medical industry, and I think those two are a big part of it, of why it's wrong. I mean, when you look at what in the U.S., what we have to pay for medical and that sort of thing compared to what other countries everywhere else have to pay, and we're being gouged. It. We're getting gouged for a bunch of stockholders and fat cat CEOs to live the high life. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you realize how many what what hundreds of percent, we pay more. So anyway, yeah, that's absolutely true. So the drugs, yes, his son was addicted to drugs, and that's what got him in that rough area of town where he ended up being shot in his little truck, his little half-ton truck that he had. And he was just shot on the street. The truck rolled to up kind of one wheel up a curb, and then ended up coming to a stop. And that's what, the death of his son started him on his journey. Got him looking for what happened because the cops sucked and didn't even care. He was getting nowhere with them, and so he started investigating it himself. And yeah, anyway, that's what the whole show's about. This guy who starts investigating something himself, gets a result, then finds a bigger problem and starts investigating that himself, and then finally starts getting the help of the proper authorities and stuff. But yeah, it's an amazing watch, folks. I highly recommend The Pharmacist for everybody. So the final episode of the Innocence Files deals with Kenneth Wood. Now this one's another interesting one where he was I guess there was a little rift between him and his girl at the time, and they were breaking up or something, and she was whatever. It was crazy, right? It was just, you could tell by some of the answering machine messages and stuff that you hear going on in the show, like the one from her to him where she threatened to kill him and just crazy stuff, right? But anyway, she ends up getting raped one night, and so they all end up saying it's Kenneth, and Kenneth wasn't actually around. But they build their whole story on that. They don't look anywhere else but that and everything, even though they're collecting forensic evidence, but they don't look anywhere else other than what their gut is telling them happened. So yeah, this guy gets nailed, ends up getting put in prison and all that stuff and all that. So eventually, as time goes by, they eventually get the evidence in the case and start testing it, and they find out that the DNA on the panties didn't match it. There was I believe a cigarette butt, I think. I may be wrong, but there was another thing of DNA that had the fingernail scrapings. Sorry, that's what it was. The fingernail scrapings. Fingernail scrapings had her DNA and a third party, some mysterious third party's DNA, but not Winemko's. So it's like this was right there in front of their face the whole time. And so they ran that DNA, and I was watching it 2 days ago, and I can't remember now what happens at the end, if they ended up finding the actual perp or not. I think they did. But yeah, I mean, just interesting stuff. But this one is where the forensic evidence is showing how the system got it wrong. And if it wasn't for this forensic evidence, the system could have easily gone on blissfully ignorant to its shortcomings. But DNA is making it aware of its shortcomings, as well as making it more reliable and making prosecutions and convictions more reliable when there's proper DNA evidence available against the suspect. But also DNA evidence can serve to exculpate, a defendant or the accused in a case. That's the power of DNA, and that's what it's doing in these exonerations. It's showing us where it goes wrong. And I can't say that enough. I'm gonna be saying it probably 100,000 times during Mammothon, but that's what things like the Innocence Project are showing us. They're showing us what it looks like when we get it wrong and where that problem occurs, which is hugely, hugely, hugely helpful. So you just got to get the people paying attention to it, really. And once we get that, we're in good shape. Can be outside without one. So So Mr. Winemko ends up getting out and all that sort of stuff. I mean, and good for him and that sort of thing. But it's just when we're seeing it, how the data coming out of the Innocence Project and what it's showing us. I mean, our system is, the system is really honestly going to hopefully start to take notice. Um, you know, like when you hear Judge Hamilton say it's not for us as judges or for any of the minority judges to take or to consider best practices from leading experts in the field or whatever, whatever he said like that. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you want to listen to what those people have to say? People that are actually studying wrongful convictions and studying the data. Why wouldn't you want to listen to them? I mean, it makes no sense, that argument. That's what happens, and so you guys know why. Oh, thank you so much, Audra. You're so kind. You're very, very kind. Thank you so much. And you are so welcome, by the way. You're very welcome. So, yeah, it's this. I just, God, I really do hope Barry Scheck and what's his name again? Peter Neufeld. I really, really, really hope that they keep this show running, and I hope we get another season or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. I mean, the Innocence Project's got a lot of files, a lot of cases that they've, exonerated people. So, there's got to be, a lot of stories that they could potentially tell. So I really am excited that this show will continue. Yeah, there's aspects in these cases that show, correlation to Avery's case. Like, for instance, fingernail scrapings. They didn't even test the fingernail scrapings in this case either. But eventually when Avery tested, when all he had was fingernail scrapings and he tested those or whatever, they came back saying, well, it could still possibly have been, it could have been DNA from, one of the people she saw on the beach or her husband or one of the people that was comforting. Why would she have flesh from one of the people comforting her under her fingernails? Excuse me? How now, brown cow? What the hell sense does that freaking make? None. Right? You know what I mean? So, but but Stephen had to get further, and finally, and fortunately, there was the pubic hair. That had just enough. It had a follicle on the end of it. Enough. They got the DNA of Gregory Allen, and that exonerated Stephen for sure. So that's what got Stephen out on the first time. And in this case, very similar, but this time at least they test the fingernail scrapings got tested, and it was hard to ignore the fact that the actual, guy who's been convicted, his DNA is nowhere to be found there underneath those nails. And you gotta go, whatever DNA and flesh is going to be underneath those fingernails is going to be the person that attacked them. That's just kind of a no-brainer, really. You know what I mean? I think everybody would agree with that. Hey, Jerome, how you doing, buddy? So yeah, I mean, it's just, this is a really good show. I'm bummed out we only have 15 people tuning in to listen about the Innocence Files, but hopefully that's because there's a lot more people actually watching it right now. I would hope anyway. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So anybody that hasn't watched it, please do. As far as everything I said at the beginning of this video today, I would love to get more people's feedback on that. So folks, let me know. What you think. Obviously, like I said, Jerome wants to go ahead and offer up his guitar. So what do you guys think the pledge amount should be to kind of get entered into each host's raffle, if each host chooses to do a raffle and raffle off something? Just give us some of your thoughts about that, folks. I'd appreciate some of your input. So I'm gonna get totally plastered. Yeah. So yeah, it's, like I said, everybody check out that show. It's great. Maybe I'll see if I can get some other people that have watched it, and we can do a bit of a video panel about it. But as I said earlier today, be looking out for tomorrow. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to be with Jeff Young and the Wonder Dog Zoe, and we're going to be talking about cadaver dogs, scent dogs, tracking dogs. We're going to be talking about Avery Dassey. We're going to be just and yes, the pup is going to be there. Zoe is going to be there. So you guys can look forward to that. That's tomorrow. Next weekend, at this time next weekend, we will be in the middle of Mammothon. We will be in the middle of the 48-hour live streaming event by this time next week. So think about that, folks. It's close. I've been explaining my idea, Jerome, and well, yeah, I'll talk to you later, Jerome. We'll whatever. We'll talk later. So there is a list of the time slots on the official Mammothon page. Let's see if I can pull that up. I believe it's just. No, that's not it. I forget what it is. Dang it. No. Let's see if I can find it real quick. All right. Let me try one other place here. Here it is. All right. Okay, here's a link for you guys. This is going to have all the up-to-date information about Mammothon for you guys, for those that are interested. That is the actual website for Mammothon. So time slots and all that kind of stuff, that's where you'll find it. Okay, Audra, I'll give you a shout. A few bits of data, that's fine. I'm open to ideas, so I want to get people's ideas of how we what amount we should set for people to be eligible, and so anyway. I have to stock up on some Monster for next weekend. There you go, Justin. Totally. So, yeah. So that's what we're looking at. Like I said, I'm, gonna be having I myself am not only gonna be having Steve Moore, retired FBI agent, but I'm gonna be having Dr. Silkman on. I'm going to be having my good friend Denise Rainey at one point. I'm pretty sure the Mad Scotsman's going to be, on with me at some point. I'm going to be on with Jeff also, and Zoe, the Wonder Dog. They're going to also be on with me for Mammothon. What else am I missing? Um, there's someone else that I'm actually one of my guests that is escaping me at the moment. So, anyways, but we're gonna be having some interesting chats, some things going on. As I said, I may line up an exoneree as well to talk to, a well-known one. So hopefully that will come to be. So that's what we're looking at, everybody. So hope everybody's looking forward to it. And alrighty. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Everybody watch the Innocence Files if you haven't already. Watch that. It's brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And we'll see you.